What's going on, everyone? So I talked about how the Los Angeles Lakers need a center and the Brooklyn Nets make a lot of sense. They have Nick Claxton and they have Day'Ron Sharpe. Did a whole video breaking both down, Day'Ron Sharpe as well as Nick Claxton. Both guys do provide a very similar thing. Shot blocking, rebounding, could slot alongside Anthony Davis, be your backup, be your starter. Although if you're going with Nick Claxton, he's just getting into his new contract in which he's set to make just under $29 million this year, which makes it tough for the Lakers to trade compared to a Day'Ron Sharpe, who he's only $4 million this season. Although he'll be restricted next season, he's not going to be a guy that's going to go make $30 million. So easy swap, easy to get him. Also, Nick Claxton, you're probably going to have to trade one, if not both of your first to go acquire, where Day'Ron Sharpe, probably looking at a couple seconds. He's also 22, so got a lot of long-term upside and growth. However, Day'Ron Sharpe is 6'9", now he's 265, 270. That's good, but the 6'9", he doesn't really give you that true like 7 foot. But you look at Nick Claxton, he's like 6'11", 220. So he doesn't really give you that the size. It's like one or the other. It's like if you could just take those two and marry them into one center, now you got the perfect center that you need. But to me, something that I talked about with Day'Ron Sharpe that you don't get with Nick Claxton is the ability for him to be a tack on. Right? Because he's so cheap, you can just get him added on. Obviously, you have to give up something to get something, but point is like Nick Claxton, if you want to get Nick Claxton and say Dorian Finney-Smith, that's basically it. You'd have to trade the rest of your roster to go get anybody else, right? But you could go get a Dorian Finney-Smith, a Cam Johnson, who the Lakers have been after, and a Day'Ron Sharpe, and get all three of those guys and just do a clean 3-for-3 swap, right? So when you break down the Nets and their three guys, you have, because remember, the Lakers have to send out more money than they take back. So what you're looking at is, you're looking at Dorian Finney-Smith, who's making, we'll call it $15 million. It's like 14.9, but again, got to round up for the safe side. So let's call it $15 million. Then you go get Cam Johnson, who's making like $23.5 million. Again, safe side, let's call it $25 million. Right? So that's between those two, $40 million. 25 plus $15 million. Then you add in Day'Ron Sharpe. Again, I said he's a little under $4 million. Let's just say $5 million. Let's make it a clean $45 million. Right? Okay, well, how do you get to $45 million without selling your entire roster? Well, glad you asked. So, D'Angelo Russell and Rui Hachimura get you to $35.5 million right there. Add in Gabe Vincent, that is $46.5 million. Be specific. So Lakers would actually shed some salary in that process, actually shed a couple million in salary, which then if you wanted to, maybe you give up, say, a Maxwell Lewis or something like, hey, here's another just young incentive to now bring in like a Quincy or bring in maybe you bring in a free agent that you like, right? Like, but now you still have, so now you just brought in Dorian Finney-Smith, you just brought in Cam Johnson, you just brought in Day'Ron Sharpe, right? But you still have Austin Reeves. You still have LeBron James, Anthony Davis. I mean, your starting five can be those three, plus Dorian Finney-Smith and Cam Johnson. Let's go win a championship, baby. Then you still have Max Christie. Still have Dalton Connect. You still have Christian Wood. You now have Day'Ron Sharpe. You still have Jackson Hayes. Right? Like you start going down the list, you still have Jared Vanderbilt, right? Like you're basically turning Rui Hachimura, D'Angelo Russell, and Gabe Vincent into a Dorian Finney-Smith and Cam Johnson. Now, if you wanted to, you could keep Gabe Vincent, which I do think there's an argument for, right? And may even be the better option where you keep Gabe Vincent and you give up Jared Vanderbilt, because you're getting two wings in the process. So now the need for Jared Vanderbilt isn't as high, right? Because you can always just slide Dorian Finney-Smith into Cam Johnson's spot and even move Cam Johnson in LeBron's spot at times, right? So you're not worried about that. And you have Max Christie that you can slot into the 2 spot, right? So you're starting 5. You could, if you wanted to, go Jared Vanderbilt in the deal and then have Austin Reeves, Dorian Finney-Smith, Cam Johnson, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and then go with Gabe Vincent, Max Christie, Dalton Connect, Christian Wood, and Day'Ron Sharpe. Now you have a clean 10, right? You still have your defensive piece, Gabe Vincent, point of attack guard that you can plug in at any point, right? You got your 2, 3, and D wings, right? Like you're in good shape. I mean, if you wanted to, you could even just go get, like you could bring Dorian Finney-Smith off the bench if you wanted to, right? And just go, no, have like Gabe Vincent. Go Gabe Vincent with Austin Reeves, Cam Johnson, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. So you can kind of mix and match those, and you still don't lose any of the value. You don't lose anything. But now in my opinion, you're one of the better teams because now you have that defensive versatility. You have the 3-point shooters, and that is something that now I'd be willing to give up both firsts. Right? Like Walker Kessler is my favorite option. He's my favorite choice. Right? If you could go get Walker Kessler right now, go get Walker Kessler right now. He gives you the size. He gives you the youth for upside and potential. Your best case scenario is getting a guy like Walker Kessler in the draft. He gives you the scoring, showing the ability to stretch the floor a little bit, showing the ability to make plays out of the post. Excellent shot blocker. Slot him alongside Anthony Davis. Good luck scoring the basketball on the interior. I love the idea of him. Can't give up 2 firsts. If the Lakers were a Walker Kessler away from now being a title contender, you do that all day. Right? I don't care if you give up 2 firsts and 2 pick swaps. Whatever you have to do, you go do it because you're only that move away, but you're not. You need that center, ideally long-term center, but you also need other pieces to slot in if you really want to be one of the top-notch teams. Well, now if you get Dorian Finney-Smith and Cam Johnson with a young, versatile center that has upside growth and potential at 22 years old, now you're solving all the same things. At that point, give up whatever you want. 2 picks or 2 firsts. Because I don't think Cam Johnson isn't worth 2 firsts by himself. He's just not. And he's got like 3-4 years left on his deal. So you're taking on just long-term money. The most he's ever played in his career in one season was 66 games, right? So his injury history, like there's a lot of risk. You're not giving up a first for him. Dorian Finney-Smith, the Nets have been trying to give up for a first for 2 years now, and no one's even considered it. You're not getting a first for Dorian Finney-Smith, right? So, but Dorian Finney-Smith and Cam Johnson combined, right, I think is worth a first and some, right? You add in Day'Ron Sharpe. Okay, now it's a first. And I mean, you could expand it if you want to. I'm not saying like there's other players that are on the Brooklyn Nets that make some sense for the Lakers if you were going to do that. And the Nets at some point are probably going to have a fire sale. Right? Like it's almost inevitable that they're going to have that at some point. So question is like, can you convince them to have that sooner? Right? Instead of them having that fire sale at the trade deadline, can you convince them to do it like, before the season begins or like December, something like that? Once Valanciunas becomes available, the Lakers now have, I wouldn't say like insane leverage or anything like that, but they do have a form of leverage. Because it's like, hey, Brooklyn, we really want Day'Ron Sharpe. Can we work? But we don't want just him. Can we work something out now? Can we get a deal done? Is there a path we can find here? Otherwise, we're just going to go trade straight up for Valanciunas, and we'll talk about the other guys maybe later, right? You kind of have that entry point, right? Same thing with like the Utah Jazz and Walker Kessler. It's like, hey, we really want Walker Kessler. We're not giving up 2 firsts for Walker Kessler. If you're willing to take a first for Walker Kessler, sure, we can get the deal done. But if not, no problem. We're just going to go get Giannis Valanciunas and just call it a day. And then at that point, maybe you can be patient and a team will bite on 2 firsts for for Walker Kessler, right? Like now you have kind of the conversation starter. You have that thing that you can point to and go like, if you're not, we want this, we want your deal. We want to do what you want to do. But we don't hate Plan B. Like Plan B still works. Plan B is still a pretty good plan for us. So we'd like to do Plan A here. If you don't want to help us do Plan A, then we'll just go do Plan B, and we'll figure out another plan, right? Like, not a big deal. Right? But if you could kind of expedite that and convince them sooner, then yeah, like I said, there are several other pieces you could add, because you could keep doing swaps, and they have a lot of guys that are relatively cheap that make sense for the Lakers. It's just how far are the Nets willing to go? How deep into the trenches are they willing to go as far as like giving up players and pieces and stuff? But again, they're a team that it's in their best interest to tank. It's in their best interest to go get Cooper Flag. I'm sure that they want to kind of see like how does Ben Simmons look. Like they want to raise Ben Simmons' value. You've heard a lot of hype and excitement about Ben Simmons this offseason, and it's not a coincidence that all of a sudden he's in a contract year, right? Like, oh, and now he's better than he was as an all-star. Like, it's just, you could see the Nets clearly want to, like, hey, let's kind of raise some of these guys' values, hopefully. But a guy like Dorian, like every team knows what Dorian Finney-Smith is. He's not going to magically turn into OG, right? Like, it's just not going to happen, right? Well, you know what he is. And he's a very good 3-and-D guy. He's not a star. He's not the best. He's not the top. Like, he is a starting level 3-and-D guy that can impact the basketball game in the right circumstances. Cam Johnson, very good two-way player that can't stay healthy. They can't play more than 50 games a season. Right? Like, it's just, again, you're not talking about these ideal scenarios here, right? So, I mean, to me, it's just like, can you stack? Can you get guys, right? I'd still try not to give up both first, because, again, like I said, not getting a first for Dorian Finney-Smith. Probably get a first for Cam Johnson. It's probably a team that would bite on that, right? Now, because of his injury histories, there maybe not. But I think if you could do, like, a first, like, okay, so basically that's Cam Johnson's worth the first. I think, yes. Yes, I think if you could do him for one first, you do it. Is Dorian Finney-Smith plus Day'Ron Sharpe worth another first? The only reason I say yes is because I do believe it would put you into contention status. And two, Day'Ron Sharpe being so young, he's a guy that helps now and the future. He's not a guy that's just like, it's just momentarily. Like Giannis Valanciunas, it's like, okay, you're getting him for, until LeBron leaves and then that's it, right? Like, that's kind of where I'm at. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you think, like, yes, go get Day'Ron Sharpe, go get Dorian Finney-Smith, go get Cam Johnson. Those are the three guys that you absolutely need. Take us over the top, go win an NBA championship. Do you think, no, you'd rather look elsewhere, stay away from the Nets, or maybe you only want Dorian Finney-Smith and maybe go elsewhere? Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are. I love to hear it, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.